Fanzone, united by the game, powered by Moore's World of Sport.
Welcome back to Fanzone, your hottest destination for all Zimbabwean sports. We're bringing you passion, drama, and non-stop action happening here in the Fanzone studio. My name is Sips.
And I'm Steve Vickers. What a weekend in the Castle Lager Premier Soccer League. Action hotting up all the time. Simba Bora press on at the top. Moors falter. Scotland beating Highlanders in an epic at Rufaro Stadium. And now very much in the picture. And FC Platinum creeping up all the time as well. And to make it such an amazing weekend, well done to the Sables, Zimbabwe qualifying for the 2027 Rugby World Cup. We'll hear from a happy Sables fans later on during the course of the show. And we got great guests today, lots and lots to dig into, joined by Leonard Musariri. He's the chairman of Ngezi Platinum Stars. Hi, Leonard.
Hi, Steve. How are you?
Great. Friday's a big day. PSL Chairman elections are on. You're one of 4 contenders, yeah?
Very true.
So wish you all the best there. We'll hear about Leonard's blueprint for PSL football. And we're joined by BT, former Zimbabwe national cricket team captain, Brendan Taylor. Hey, Brendan.
Steve, how are you?
Great. Fantastic to have you on the show. Friday's a big day for you as well. A 3.5-year ban from international cricket ends. You are available to play for the national team from Friday onwards.
Indeed, yeah, very excited, and it's been a long but necessary journey.
Yeah, it's quite a story that BT has. Intrigue, drugs, match-fixing allegations, and light at the end of the tunnel as well for BT, as he could be back in the national team. Hey, what a show we got lined up, Sip.
Now that we have teased you guys enough, let's dig into the Matchday 21 roundup, where we will discuss what happened over the weekend in the PSL. Matchday 21 saw a much more rounded effort from a lot of the teams. We saw a triangle hold in Ngezi Platinum to a 1-1 draw at Gebo Stadium, and even chicken in with a much needed win over ZPC Kariba at Luveve, just a 1-goal win. One of the most alarming results, however, talking about a well-rounded weekend, was at Moors Ngoni Stadium, where Moors FC fell to FC Platinum 2-0, an unanswered match from Moors. What a result for FC.
We wondered how FC Platinum would do after the tragic death of their midfielder, Brian Banda. They seem to be even more motivated now, and they can be slow starters who then, when they hit the second half of the season, can go through a long run of success. And that's how it's looking now for FC Platinum. Davison Maroa was outstanding with a goal and an assist. Obviously, might just be a blip for Moors. Plenty of time to recover.
Yep, Precious P was also the other goal scorer who drove the other dagger into the hearts of the Moors fans. But it also means an end to the unbeaten record of the Moors at their home ground. So quite a shaken weekend for the Moors fans. And
very painful for the Moors supporters to lose at home at Ngoni Stadium. That was tough.
Yeah, it definitely was. The other match, very exciting, Steve. You were there at Rufaro, Scotland versus Highlanders. A very spirited Highlanders team couldn't quite pip Scotland. Scotland, great game. Terence Jukamanja, 2 goals. A great result for them as well.
Yeah, terrific contest. High quality game it was. Big crowd there. Excellent football. The first half was just non-stop. Terence Jukamanja, his 2 goals putting Scotland ahead after Matthias Chiweta, the 20-year-old, had popped in the opener for Highlanders. The real pivotal moment was the missed penalty with 15 minutes to go for Bosso, as Marvin Sabanda put the spot kick wide of the post. He was devastated, burst into tears. He was substituted immediately, and the young Highlander squad, they couldn't recover from that. And also Tondoran Diraya, the Scotland coach, when he decides to shut up shop, it's difficult for the opponents. So he brought on a third centre back, and it was likely to have been game over, and they defended out from there. But Scotland looking good. I really was impressed with their Malawian, Kudambaya. He's a striker. He's 31 years old. He's getting on, but they signed him in this July transfer transfer window. Really good touches that we saw from Kuda Mubaya, and he looks like he's going to be a very good introduction. Moses Shidola, the Namibian, he came on as well, replacing Kuda. So I think the Scotland team is starting to gel now, and they are big contenders, although they're 6 points adrift, but they're big contenders.
Yeah, I think you're right, Steve. There was speculation before as to whether or not Scotland might make a comeback, but I think with this Highlanders match, they are firmly placing their foot forward, moving up amongst the ranks, and definitely becoming more favourites as they head into fixtures over the weeks. Leonard, I want to bring you in this conversation quickly. One thing that was very noticeable is that Scotland have finally been awarded their 3 points and that 3-goal win for that abandoned match against Scotland and Chicken all the way back at match day 13. So 8 matches later, a very long process for a decision which I think really was quite simple. What are your thoughts on the timing of the decision being made, Leonard?
Obviously, the timing is not comfortable. The timing should have been done better because, like you said, it could have been a relatively easy decision to be made. And I think still got 1 or 2 other matches that are still to be decided. And those matches, to me, as an aspiring chairperson of PSL, those are the issues that I'm going to be looking at from a strategic point of view to then say what is the strategy of PSL, what is the policy that guides PSL, how does it sync in line with the PSL, ZIFA, CAF and FIFA statutes to then see to it that such activities or such mishaps, when it happens, what does our policy say? Is it in sync? Is it in line with the regulations? So it's a matter of synchronization, but it all starts off with the strategy. So what we have got currently at PSL is a strategy, but the strategy, from my view as a governor, is not speaking correctly or maybe directly to the issues to do with ZIFA PSL statutes in terms of implementation when it comes to policies. We have got a strategy, but the strategy has it been broken down to a policy that is then be used to implement, and implementation then comes evaluation, and that is what you're asking for.
Yeah.
The evaluation and the timings of whether it was the correct time or not. It is something that is measurable, and that measurability should only come through when people have got a policy and have got standards and structures to follow. And as is now, it is within the statutes of PSL to make that decision. So technically, yes, they were correct to make that decision today, tomorrow, next week, or even on the last day of the match, for as long as the statutes of PSL are allowing them.
Yeah. So definitely a long time to come round to that decision. Hopefully we don't see a sort of similar timeline with the Dynamo's FC Platinum game. That's also still be abandoned and still needs to be accorded for. But Steve, let's look to our team of the week, something we've introduced onto the show. There are a lot of star performers, so let's go through that, Steve.
Yeah, so this our thoughts on the best players of match day 21 in the Castle Lager PSL. In goal we have Stephen Kwaku, the Ghanaian for Caps United, played well against Tel 1. At the back, Eric Dombo for Herentals, he was on target. Precious Piri, another defender who scored for FC Platinum, the Malawian, and Kevin Moyo solid for Scotland in the victory against Highlanders. In midfield, Davison Maroa outstanding with a goal and an assist for FC Platinum against Moors. Donald Mudadi was man of the match for Zimbabwe in their victory over Dynamos, who of course slumped to another defeat and haven't scored in 4 games. Ronald Rooney Chitio is still around, 25-yard screamer as he scored for Green Fuel, so he's still going strong. Kingsley Mureremba outstanding for Scotland in the second half against Highlanders. Up front, another Scotland player makes it to our team of the week, Terence Jukamanja, for his brace, the Warrior. He had a fantastic game. Matthias Chiweta scoring for Highlanders. He was outstanding as well. He troubled God knows Muruera, the Scotland right back, the whole afternoon with his pace and with his trickery. And rounding out our team of the week, Tawanda Macheke for Tel 1. Not on target, but had some very good touches and played well for Tel 1 in the goalless draw against Capsips.
Yeah, Steve, I actually enjoyed watching Macheke. He asked a lot of questions from Kwaku, so it's good to see them go toe-to-toe. Of course, you have to have Jukamanja on. 2 goals, brilliant weekend. And, there are a lot of Scotland players on the list, but, there's a reason why. They're finding their stride. Darai is doing a good job, and maybe we're seeing this new invigorated Scotland that we saw in the first half of the season.
Yeah, definitely. So that's our opinion. Drop a comment, tell us what you think of our team of the week there.
Yes. And moving away from the PSL, we also like to keep tabs on Division 1. Now, last weekend, there wasn't much Division 1 because there was a bit of a break during the week. But Division 1 was back on over the weekend. So Steve is going to run us through and tell us what is going on in Division 1.
So the Eastern region returned from the mid-season break with a shock result. Leaders Tenax were stunned 1-0 by debutants Deportivo La Murambinda. Third place Masvingo United beat Wangu Mazodze 2-0 in a Masvingo derby there. After the match, Wangu Mazodze announced they fired their coach Pilani Beefy Ngube. Second place to FC Hunters didn't play, they were on a bye. In the southern region, the surprise package and Kai United maintained their 3-point lead at the top, a 1-0 win over Mainline. Second place Bulai Chiefs beat Black Rock 1-0. Third place Wange also won 2-0 over Imbizo. The central region is still on a mid-season break, but the news is that Dulibat Zimu United, who are fourth on the log, have appointed former Wange and Warriors fringe midfielder Fortune Fokoza Ngube as their new head coach, replacing Rutherford Matondo, who moved to second place Hard Rock as the first team assistant to Calvin Mapasa. So Hard Rock attracting a new coach on their technical department, as well as a lot of new players in this July transfer window. That's how it's looking in Division 1.
Division 1, there's always a lot going on, Steve. Their coaches, getting sacked and act just as easily as they do in the PSL, something which, we have spoken about, maybe should be changed. But that concludes the match day roundup. And with match day 22 coming up, this midweek fixtures, let's start looking ahead to our most anticipated games for that match day. Match day 22 upcoming this week. Very exciting matches coming up. First off is Ngezi in 5th place against the Caps, reinvigorated Caps. Or are they reinvigorated after that draw against Tal 1? Steve, Ngezi, very strong, in good form. Caps slowing down a little bit. I don't see a win, especially since they're playing at Baobab Stadium. 1-0 for Ngezi.
Yeah, I like Caps under Ian Bakala, playing pretty well, I would say. This is a tight game. I'll say 2-1. I think Ngezi can take this game at home, 2-1.
And Leonard, what are your concerns coming up this weekend against Caps?
Concerns for playing Caps United at Baobab. Not even. It's one of those games. Predictions, I've heard your predictions. I'm happy about them. But my prediction, I'll reserve it until Thursday morning. You get it. For those that have followed Ngezi from ever since we started playing in the Premier League, second round of our league matches have ever been our best times of playing soccer. And even when we won the league in 2023, we won it on the second half of the league. Because we have got the depth, we have got the quality, and we have got a team that is not a team that is rotated. I was quite excited and happy to hear Steve talk about a player who is playing at Greenfields now, who started playing soccer some years back. I don't know how many years back. But if you go to Ngezi now today, you would hardly notice or find a player that has been with Ngezi for more than 10 years. Our average player team is not more than 24. So we are building a team that is for the future. And we have got a pipeline of a team that is coming up. So playing Caps United should be ready to find a team that did not play triangle over the weekend.
Okay, Leonard, so you're running for PSL Chairman. A big fixture in Ngezi against Caps. We're playing on a Wednesday afternoon. Obviously, a lot of fans won't be able to be there. What are your thoughts on the calendar, on the scheduling of matches as an aspiring PSL Chairman?
It's quite a tricky one because the fixtures are chock-a-blocker. If it's not played over the week of midweek, it might be difficult to be played. However, we would have preferred as Ngezi for it to be played over the weekend. And but looking at Ngezi, we are looking at a community which is rural-based and also a mining community. And if you are looking at a midweek and a weekend, the difference is not that much because we are still talking of a community that are a bit flexible. If you are talking of the mine workers, some are underground now. They are coming out at 4. Some are going in at 6, so they can watch the soccer until before they go for the matches. Some are actually coming 4 kilometers, 5 kilometers away from the villages, coming to watch the match. So in terms of numbers and in terms of our fans, soccer fans, yes, it affects because it's midweek, but I don't think it's much for us to worry about because it is a community that is out there that is starved of entertainment, and the moment they get entertainment, they embrace it.
And as we said, you've got your election coming up on Friday. What are some things you think that the PSL chairmen have lacked, and how you will look to improve the system of the PSL?
My challenge is I would really not want to say somebody has lacked something, because we will always take up from somewhere. And PSL started in 1993. And those people that started PSL in 1993 did a great job, because it was a big thing to move away from ZIFA to PSL. And at that point, they did the best. And I applaud them for that. And for those that ran PSL from 1993 until today, they've done a great job. But not to forget to mention that from 1993 until November, December 2024, PSL had nothing much to say in terms of their books, in terms of it as an entity, besides the leadership of Jere, Mr. Jere, as the chairperson, who came in and bought a stand in Borodale, which is close to $500,000 US. So as an incoming chairperson, it becomes very easy that you are coming from a platform where the stage is already set. And when the stage is already set, you are kicking it up from there. So I'm saying those that came before Mr. Jere, they did the best that they could with the environment and with the times that were there. Remember, there was COVID, there was economic collapse in the country, and a lot of other things. But when this time and Mr. Jere got the opportunity, he grabbed the opportunity, and this is part of the laid foundation that is coming in for the incoming chairperson.
Okay, and so then what are you looking to add or improve?
Firstly, maybe before I get to, maybe let me answer that first. The PSL doesn't need to be renting an office, a property. So now that we have got a place, it's immediate that a property, a place has to be built, a home for PSL to be done, and that has to be done immediately. And within my manifesto, within my planning, and the committee that I will be elected to work with, it should be something that should be done within the next, at most 6 months, that we have got a place, a home, because the home is already there. What is not there is the structure.
Okay, makes
Yes.
sense. Now, fans would want to know why the PSL is not getting more sponsorship. You're reliant on Delta, Castle Lager and Chibuku for the two main competitions, but this is football. It's a people's game, the most popular sport. What can you do to get more sponsorship, or why do we not have more sponsorship with the PSL?
I'm being asked this question by a very person who has been in soccer for a very long time, and I'm happy to get to answer that question. Soccer is a big business in the world, multi-billion dollar business in the world. But what is it that is lacking in Zimbabwe? Firstly and foremost, maybe attributed to the economy in brackets. I wouldn't really want to attribute it to the economy in full, but in brackets. What I think is lacking in PSL, which I think I'll be able to bring in PSL, is a strategy. Which strategy was put in place some 3-4 years ago. But when you put a strategy, you need to put policies and governance. And when you put policies and governance, you are then looking at the policies and the governance to work together with the PSL, ZIFA, CAF, and FIFA statutes, so that they run in sync. And when all those are running in sync, the policies are then monitored by the elected leadership. Because the election that is coming in on Friday, people are thinking whoever is going to be elected on Friday is going to be coming in and running ZIFA on a day-to-day. It's a part-time thing. It's something that you are only there to monitor, to strategize, make policies, and monitor and evaluate the policies. There is management at ZIFA. Those management at ZIFA guys have to be monitored and evaluated against the strategy that would have been put in place. So the corporate world are shun of people or a system where it doesn't seem to be very organized, because they don't want to be associated with things that then dents their images. So in that case, I think the first thing to do is to go back and look at the policy and see if the policy is in sync with all the football statutes. And if it's in sync with all the football policies, then we come up with policies. Those policies, we then say, yes, are they in correct corporate governance? Yes. If they are, then the next thing is, how then do we monitor, implement, and monitor those? And that is the duty and responsibility of the leadership that is being elected on Friday.
Do you think you could get Econet, for example, back on board as one of the biggest companies, and football fans, so many of them use their services, but you're saying the corporate world has shunned the PSL. Do you think you could get a big sponsor like that back on board?
I think I'm pretty sure we should actually be getting more and better sponsorship, because for as long as we are attractive. Everyone would really want to come in because our house is clean. And if our house is not clean, no one wants to come into that house. So as far as we are concerned, currently, we don't seem like, he has just asked me a question now to say it's how many weeks before a decision has been made?
Eight matches, yeah?
Eight matches before a decision has been made. Who else would really want to listen to that? So those are things that are addressed by policies. And these are the policies that I'm saying they are not there. And I believe I'm one person who is able to come up with such policies, with such strategies. Why do I say so? I have been in the corporate world for quite a long time. I started an institution in the security industry more than 20, 30 years ago. I ran a security company, which I started with 15 security personnel. And after about 10 years, I was employing about 100 employees. Well, not 100, 1,000 employees.
Wow.
And at that point, I realized that that company, the institution, had overgrown me as an individual. So I could not manage it the way I used to manage 15 people. So I needed to come up with a strategy. So I personally decided to come up with a strategy. And that strategy had then to come in with policy and governances to run the company, which I then did. And at that point, 2017, the institution that I formulated as a security company was ISO certified 9001 2015 QMS. So it's completely ISO certified and with a complete structure of management from the managing director right up to the lowest person in the on the shop floor. And at that point, what is my business as the founder, as the shareholder? My business now is to evaluate and monitor, which is exactly the same title that I'm looking at PSL, which is something that I've done from my own volition, not being told to do it, because I realized the magnitude of the size of the project that I was running. That's how I then got into that. But now, also the institution that I'm running of security company now, as of 2025, it's employing more than 2,300 employees. So it gives me a lot of time to me, because the team that came in to implement the strategy, the policies, the governance and running of the institution, that they managed to read and see the vision of the institution. And having managed to read and see the vision of the institution, they ran it quite well. My business now is just to monitor and evaluate. And we are going very well.
Okay.
And because of that, maybe before you come in, and because of that, for avoidance of doubt, you see, I'm Ngezi Platinum Stars chairperson. I have no business as my security company or any of my other business projects with Ngezi Platinum Stars. My only business with Ngezi Platinum Stars is the chairperson of Ngezi Platinum Stars. They invited me after having seen the business that I was running on my own, with the policies and structures that I'd put in place to run my own business, for me to come and mirror match with what they had envisioned in their football. And that's when they invited me to come in and run their football. And now I came, ran their football, and we managed to achieve some successes. And I believe everybody is happy. So because of that, like I said, for avoidance of doubt, I've heard people saying, I'm an employee of Zimplats. No, I'm not an engineer. I don't even know how to go underground. I'm not in any way, even my security personnel, working for Zimplats. There are other companies that are actually working for Zimplats. My relationship with Zimplats is purely on football and football and football only.
Okay. And Leonard, so you've spoken to us. We know you have a financial and economic blueprint for what you would do as the PSL chairperson. Looking back to our favorite topic of matches being abandoned, if you are to be elected, would that be something you'd be tolerant of players walking off the pitch and matches being abandoned? And what measures would you take to prevent such things from happening?
Yeah, I think you're listening to me quite well. When you go out there and ask people to go and play netball, and there are no rules, there are no regulations, people can throw the ball anywhere, anyhow. But I'm saying when PSL, the new leadership, as we are coming in, we need to put a strategy. And that strategy should formulate policies. And those policies should be governed by proper corporate governance. And those proper corporate governance will then put everything in line. So whatever we are talking about, whatever we are complaining about, should then be addressed by the policies that all the governors, all 18 governors within the league would agree on and sign for. So that definitely should be a thing of the past.
Well, thanks, Leonard, for your insights. We wish you all the best for your election on Friday. Fingers crossed. I'm sure you will do well, and you looks like you'll be one of the running candidates that will be looking for that chairperson spot. We're also able to chat to Chido Chizondo, who is applying for the same position, but in the WPSL sector of the football. And she couldn't make it into the studio, so we got a little bit of an interview for you guys to watch that she'll be sharing her thoughts on why women's football isn't getting as much sponsorship in the WPSL and what her plans to do with that. So let's take a look at what she has to say.
Yes, we want to commercialize the sport. But have we put the foundation to ensure that we commercialize the sport? There are quick wins that are currently available. And one of the biggest wins is platforms that are now available for us to play our matches, broadcast them on various platforms, which include your YouTube and your FIFA Plus platforms. This will give us an opportunity to be able to monetize our league. However, in the absence of the things that we've spoken about earlier, which include general optics of the league itself, it will be very difficult for us to then say, oh, we can now commercialize women's football. Currently, our biggest setback is the lack of sponsorship. And you find that on many platforms, you continue to hear that there is no sponsorship for the women's league. But are we doing enough as women and as the league? Are we attractive enough for sponsors to come on board? And if we are not, what are the things that we need to do? I think importantly, as the Women's League, we need to own our own game. And owning our own game starts with us being accountable for the things that we need to do as teams. That alone is what will bring our sponsors to us. We need to become attractive by being accountable. And that accountability is us owning our own game and saying, as the Women's League, this is where we want to place ourselves, this is who we need to be, so that the person looking from outside, the optics are sufficient for people to actually begin believing that there is a direction in which women's football is going. Sponsors want quality. Sponsors want to understand their value for money. Are we giving them the sufficient value proposition as we stand? Are we saying that if a sponsor is to come on board today, we can deliver the value that they want. If our question or if our answer is blank, then that means as women we need to go back on the drawing board and say what is the plan to improve those optics, to give that quality. What are the things that we need to put on the ground to ensure that the sponsor has confidence that in the event that they've given you 100,000, 200,000, 500,000, they will get that value back in return. We need an intentional approach to the success of women's football, and that requires commitment from all those that are involved in the development and the growth of the game. For now, commercialization is a nice to have. What we need right now is to be accountable for who we are and what we can change in women's football.
Predictor match day 21 over the weekend. Icon 505 has fully stretched out his league, and nobody seems to be pretty close except for William McKenna, who has risen into his second place. So well to William, and Icon Simba languishing in third. He'll be upset that he's let the reins slip. But Steve, all in all, a good weekend for me personally in the predictor. The Moors Platinum game did trip me up, but other than that, it was not a bad weekend.
Yeah, exciting. I think I got 2 correct this weekend. I just got the scoreline wrong for the Scotland Highlanders with my joker. Otherwise, I would have had a really good one.
Well, no new faces in the top 10 of the PSL Predictor, so well done to all of those who are still in the top 10. But even to all of you who are just participating or for the fun, remember sweepstake prizes up for grabs, caps, bucket hats, the Suzuki Eco is still out there, and it's a really great time. Private leagues are open, brag with your friends, brag against your family, so head on over to fanzone.co.zw, sign yourself up and enjoy some predicting. It's never easy in the PSL, and it's never really straightforward. So that's the PSL Predictor Update. And we now take a break from the PSL, and we're looking to Beyond the Pitch, where we'll be bringing Brendan Taylor into the conversation. We're going to be asking him some really great questions.
Well, we are all rugby fans right now. Well done to the Sables, Zimbabwe, not only winning back-to-back Africa Cup titles with that great victory over Namibia, 30-28 in Kampala, Uganda on Saturday. More importantly, qualifying for the Rugby World Cup 2027 in Australia. And we've been waiting since 1991 for this. There was a massive watch party at Harare Sports Club. We spoke to happy fans there.
I hope I can find the words to explain just how much pride I have as a supporter, and just imagining the players themselves, Pete Bernardi, Hilton, I can name them all. They have made an entire nation proud. I don't know how to actually express it, but going to the World Cup Zimbabwe since 1991. Thank you, Sables. Thank you, Pete. To all the players, the entire team. We are proud. We were supporting. You guys have done the thing. Namibia are no longer a household name. We are. Well done, Sables.
I never, ever in my life thought I was going to buy a ticket to go and be present in one of any of our sporting disciplines. But today, I've just said yes to the rugby.
Today, it's called history. The boys have made history. We have qualified for the World Cup after about, I don't know how many years, maybe 30 years since 1991 or 1992. And we are really excited. Right now, I don't want to lie to you, I'm prepared to go to the airport to welcome the boys back home.
Well done to the Sables. No doubt this is going to be the sporting highlight in Zimbabwean sport for 2025. It does not come much better than this, and we wait for years for huge achievements like this. Well, delighted to be joined by former Zimbabwe national cricket team captain Brendan Taylor on Fanzone this week. Welcome, BT. First of all, what do you want to say about the Sables?
We're over the moon. I mean, we're ecstatic. It's been a long time coming. They've got some really wonderful people, real professional people involved, driving them forward. So there's a real buy-in from the community and clearly from the players. So well done to them. We're ecstatic for them.
Yeah, we're loving the Sables. So BT started playing for the national team 21 years ago at the age of 18. Now 39 years old and on the verge of what would be an incredible comeback. BT's story involves drug addiction. It involves crime, intrigue, match fixing as well. On Friday, his 3.5-year ban from international cricket ends. He seemed to be down and out. His offence was a failure to report a match fixing approach on time as he delayed 5 months after being dragged into a match fixing operation in India. And being caught on camera taking drugs. I mean, the whole story is just is something that you would hardly believe is true, but it is. And you're back, BT. There's so much to talk about. But how are you physically at the age of 39 after this long layoff?
Well, physically, I can honestly say I feel I'm better than I was in my early 20s. I've been very disciplined with, obviously, the sobriety side of things, but also the diet and the training side of things. It's been very meticulous and very dialed in to over the last sort of 12 to 18 months in terms of preparing to come back. So a lot of sacrifice, but really been ultra disciplined with the training side of things, dietary side of things, and the technical side of things. So in the past, I was probably just solely focused on the technical aspect of batting and maybe a bit of wicket keeping, but not so much of the other side. So I'm enjoying sort of combining both of that and really enjoying the process. It's been a thorough but intense journey, but an enjoyable one.
What about mentally as well? All of the things that you've been through, your family supporting, you would have hurt your family as well. How are you mentally?
Mentally, I finally found that the truest form of living for me. Where I was at a stage of total incomprehensible demoralization, at the edge of the cliff, not knowing how much longer I can go on like this, until that surrender came and that willingness to go to any lengths to get help. I didn't know where to turn to, what help to get. I was too ashamed to even speak to my family because the shame and guilt that it was bringing onto them. We were a very tight-knit family, a very close family. So it took all the courage of me to sort of say, right, I'm done. Help me out. Where do I go? Show me which way to go, and I'll do anything and everything possible to turn this around. And I met some wonderful people who have great experience in recovery and have been through addiction themselves, and showed me the way out.
I'll just try and summarise because it is a long story, but about 4 years ago, BT was in a hotel room in India. He'd been approached by match fixers, not knowing when you went that was what it was all about, but it turned out to be that he was approached by match fixers in India. He had a drug addiction, was taking cocaine and other drugs. They filmed you without you knowing. You wanted to get out of that hotel room, but then you feared for your life. You took the money, I think it was $10,000, was it? And you decided $15,000. You decided it was best just to get away, to run home, and then to try and sort it out.
Yeah, it was like trying to unscramble a scrambled egg. It was very, very difficult because I knew it. When I jumped on board there, I had cleared all sort of areas with my agent and the people in India that I made it very clear, which actually helped me in the end, saying if there's any sort of skullduggery or dodginess, I wouldn't board the plane. And they seem to be very, high-flying sort of business people, good, honest people that had been chatting for a long period of time. My agent gave me the go-ahead from London to say, looks all above board, just keep your wits about yourself. And I didn't experience any of that while I was on the ground in India. It was actually quite a productive 2.5 days, to the point when we celebrated on the last night, and a 3-day trip, and we celebrated hard on the last night. Came the next day, and I was pretty much packing my bags to get home. hear the knock on the door, and the entourage of people that I've been with for 3 days basically sort of were giving me my send-off and actually handed my appearance fee of $15,000 that I had signed a contract for. So all it seemed above board until someone presented a video evidence in my face about what was going on in the night before. So it was a sense of 20 years to build it up, and one night of chaos.
Yeah.
It's all coming crashing down. So that was quite a paralyzing fear to go through that, to try and hand the money back and go, that's not for me. I made it clear before I tried to fly. They made it very clear that you're in our pocket now, and once we got you, and we all know the power of social media, they're threatening that video to go around the world, and we know what that can do. So, yeah, it was coming to my senses in a short space of time was just to take the money, get out and go, and I'll deal with it when I get home, and not knowing how to deal with it. We were still suspended by the ICC. We were experiencing a potential 2-year ban, which only got lifted 3 months after I got back, so we only got suspended for 6 months. And cricket started coming back, and once I got back to playing cricket 3 months later, that's when the phone calls really started happening from the guys in India. I even expressed my concern saying, well, we suspended, this can't even work. They said, don't worry, we will create an avenue for you somewhere, whether it's in another league or something. We'll get our return of investment.
For you to fix a match in one way or the
gather
other.
other players to spot fix. I think match fixing days are done. I think there's too many red flags. I think
Spot
it's more
fixing one incident within a
individual
match,
individual balls or specific plays of the game. I think is there's 1,000 ways they can skin the cat. They made it very clear they could find the opportunities to recoup their money, and $15,000 is not life-changing money, but it's a start of something that they would obviously, once you're in, you're going to do it a lot of times and generate large amounts. Horrible, scary time, but the old saying of your past becomes your greatest asset, and that's what I truly believe now. I needed to go through all that to be here now. I wouldn't be sitting with you guys. I would not be planning a return back to international cricket. I'd probably be divorced. My kids are gone. My home's gone, and everything's gone. So again, it was that willingness to go, I'm absolutely in a world of trouble, and be honest enough and vulnerable enough to admit that to everyone and say, please show me the way out. I'm ready to go. And it's been a wonderful journey.
So the offence there was that you should have reported it straight away when you got back home. So maybe just to wrap up such a long story, what are your thoughts on drug addiction? You were an occasional user, then more heavy. You went as far as cocaine. Are you clean now? What would you say to people watching this as well?
Thankfully, very much clean now, and I have been for 3.5 years, and I wouldn't change that for the world. My journey was, again, I think was looking back from 18 all the way up until now, or 3.5 years ago. It was very much, everything was to the extreme. Whether I was playing cricket, the training aspect and the social aspect everything was, that old saying, work hard, play hard mentality. I did that very well. So incrementally, I'm not a big drug user. 10, 12 years ago, maybe on the occasion, after a long series, come back, sort of take some time off, go away on a trip, maybe I would partake on that. I was always a heavy drinker. I guess meeting my wife, I sort of managed to put the drugs down, just socialize with the drinking, call it a binge drinker, but also maintain a high work ethic in terms of being a professional cricketer. So the India trip was the catalyst that sort of I had put the accelerator down and did not know how to do life that well anymore. And so alcohol and drugs actually became not my problem, it actually became my solution to life. That's the delusional thought of an addict or an alcoholic, is that without that medicine, I cannot function. And that felt very true at the time, because otherwise the anxiety, the depression became immense, and the only thing that would make me feel better was that. So
So it goes in your mind from being a problem to being the
The
solution.
solution, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, so BT, you've made it through. It was a long and arduous journey, as you have said, and you've also alluded to making a comeback to international cricket. With that being said, you know, you are 39 and you haven't played international cricket for the past 3.5 years. What do you have to offer the Chevrons at this stage?
Pure service. I think my experience, strength and hope for what I've gone through, I know not to say that there's a drug problem in our cricketing team at the moment. I'm not aware of it, but I know that it's very prevalent in sport. You know, I'm going to do things totally different now. It's not that my ego got absolutely obliterated when I went into rehabilitation 3.5 years ago. Not that it was an ego in your face, but it was manifesting inside to some things that were very toxic for me. But you know, again, if I can be of service, I separate myself from, you know, the disease of addiction, because it doesn't mean that I go to rehab for 3 months, I'm good forever. No, this is a daily reprieve to action my sobriety every day, and the best way to do that is obviously, apart from having a strong faith, would be to be of service to others. And I feel that effect when I'm working with other people who are struggling, or where they are now, where I was once there, and to sit there across the table from them, share my story, and offer them the solution to recover. That's a pretty powerful thing. And you know, just what I have done I've done a huge amount of is actually a lot of private coaching in the last 3.5 years. So I've learned a huge amount about myself and as a coach, to think outside the box in multiple aspects to help that individual grow. Now, coaching junior level cricket's a lot more complicated because they're different levels. The international stage, and I've been fortunate enough to be surrounded by the elite professional people for many years. I've been a sponge to that information for many years, and now I'm just trying to find my own sort of pathway after cricket, you know, with the ambition to play a few more years, yes, but certainly to come back into that coaching fold and give back to cricket that's given me so much.
Wow. And we understand Zimbabwe Cricket want you to continue as a player before taking more of a coaching role for now.
Yeah, well, I met the MD, who's been extremely supportive, Mr. Gilmore Makoni, and Doc Mukashlani, the chairman. They've been incredibly supportive of my journey. I actually met them 2 years ago to express some sort of proactive interest in potentially coaching the under-19s, or maybe looking at the national batting team role, coaching role. And they actually shut me down. They said, you can coach till you're 60. And I thought, well, that's a valid point. Do you have anything left in you? And I left Zimbabwe Cricket on bad terms, and you look at sort of Raza and Craig Irvin and Sean Williams, and these guys Craig's older than I am. Sean's my age, Raza's my age, and they're still the top performers. They really are offering a whole lot to Zimbabwe Cricket. There is the 27 World Cup we're hosting it in 27. And that's sort of, they dangled a carrot to interest me into potentially coming back. So that planted a seed. And about 12 to 18 months ago, I started to really buy into my training. And I've enjoyed that.
We should say congrats to the doc, Tavengwa Mukhuhlani. He was elected chairman of the Africa Cricket Association over the weekend. Substantively, he was interim leader since December. That's another big thing for Zimbabwe. So the Tri-Series, BT, South Africa, New Zealand, we're not competitive thus far. Are we out of our depth? Should we be looking more at playing the likes of Ireland and Bangladesh, or do we still aspire to be competitive against these top nations?
Yeah, it's a tough one, and I haven't been in and around the group. I've been around certain individuals over the last few years, maybe throwing a few balls at them, and excuse me, it's been a frustrating period. I mean, we've seen glimpses of some really good performances with the likes of Raza and Sean Williams, Brian Bennett, Blessing Mazarabani, Richie Ngarava. Just we haven't really clicked. There's a few niggles that's part of the game that we do not have the depth of players to maybe sort of contribute to filling those slots. But we're up against two very, very good sides, top four in the world, New Zealand and South Africa. And make no mistake about it, the guys know what they are up against, and they can compete. And I don't really like the word compete because that was something I had in my first sort of 5-10 years of Zimbabwe cricket while we were rebuilding our experience and our group of players. But there is a very professional coaching staff under Justin Salmons and Dion Ibrahim, the assistant coach, and Stewie Matskenyeri, Charl Langeveld, the South African our bowling coach. Great analysis. So we're there. We obviously there's big goals and ambitions for the T20 qualifiers. I think later in the year, against which we are hosting fortunately again, and then obviously we host again in 2027. So there's a huge drive towards that. I think there's also these are some building blocks to get there. I mean, we've had a pretty lackluster performance in the last week, but again, we have a lot of continuity at the moment, and that's what we're so desperately for. And we needed that in terms of growing and improving, because historically in the past we'd have a series and we'd have nothing for 4 months, and then we'd have another series. So again, the managing director and the chairman have been very proactive and extremely excited about getting all this cricket in place. So it'll bode well. Have we performed to the best? No, we haven't. But they know that. And again, it's the senior core has not fired the way we would have liked in terms of, okay, but we cannot always rely on Raza or Blessing Mazarabani. Other guys have to step up. That's professional sport. So again, I look forward to coming up and maybe adding some sort of emotional stability to the group of players, and just, cricket's a pressure cooker. Maybe a good arm around the shoulder goes a long way as well.
It is. I mean, you're also definitely joining the Zimbabwean setup in quite a precarious time, as we've alluded to. The T20 Tri-Series hasn't gone the way we would liked. Heavy defeats in the tests earlier this year. They were against, World Test champions and England. But with that, there are a lot of upset fans, pundits, commentators, analysts. Do you have any concerns coming back into such as you said, a pressure cooker time, and along with your reputation and how you left in 2021, are there any concerns being back in the spotlight?
Not necessarily for me. I mean, what's gone is gone. I cannot change that. What I can change is the now. I can stay in the moment. I can't look too far ahead. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. It's very arrogant for me to even assume that. So all I can offer is that I've left no stone unturned in terms of my own preparation to return back. I can honestly say I've trained extremely hard and intensively, and I feel like I'm honestly in the best space of my life, because 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago I was still performing as a broken human being, intoxicated even to some points. I mean, I've been many things in life that I'm not proud of, but being a cheat was never one of those. So I can sleep okay at night on that. But
Wow.
Again, the mental clarity at the moment, it's wonderful to live the way I'm living and not in that sort of fractured mind frame all the time.
Really wish you all the best, BT. Do you want to have a quick word on this issue, Leonard? So he's alluded to, we talked about drug issues in sport, match fixing as well.
I want to shake hands with this man. It's so difficult for a man to be man enough and to confess what he has just said to me or to the nation currently. It's something that very few people would do. Everyone would try and hide it. But to the levels of what he has gone through and what he is confessing, I think he's the best teacher. And I would, getting into the Premier League chairmanship, he's one of the guys that I would definitely be inviting to come and address the players and the technical staff and everybody else. Because drug issues and alcoholism is all over the world in sport. So betting and so on, it's something that happens and it affects everybody. So as a leader in PSL, he is one guy that I will definitely be inviting to come through to then say, this is my experience, these are the consequences of what I experienced, and from what he has just said to me, or to the nation currently, it shows he is now the best teacher. And what he has said currently, it shows his reformation process. And besides his reformation process, he is looking forward to a better future. And that is what is key. For someone to change or for someone to prosper, you can't do it until you realize your mistakes, until you realize how you need to go forward. And in this case, PT is saying, I've realized my mistakes, I know what I did, I know how I have overcome all these processes, and I know the direction of where to follow and where I want to go to. And because of that, this is why this is very important for this man to say what he's saying. And to me, I don't doubt any of his words, because it is very difficult for anyone in this world to come on national TV, on the national platform, to come in and then confess. It is very difficult. And this is why I said I would really love to shake his hand to say he is a man, and a man indeed, would come in and should be able to assist not only in cricket, but everyone else within the sporting arena in Zimbabwe and in the world at large, for people to understand, to say, you are in sport because you're in business. And this is the business that we are doing. Yeah. Before we go into the show, we're joking and we're saying on Friday we will be celebrating the two of us. He's coming back into cricket. My dream is me being the chairperson of PSL, so we'll be having a celebration night on Friday. Fortunately, he doesn't drink anymore, and fortunately, I have not started drinking as yet, so it will be a celebration with a difference. So from that view, I really want to applaud him for what he has said. And to me, when you are saying it, some of these things, I've read it in the newspapers. 3 years is a long time. And at times, when you are not really a cricket fan, you don't understand and feel it the way I'm feeling it now. Mm-hmm. However, we have experienced these things in football. This is why you find the anti-doping coming into the stadiums here and there and so on and so on. And you find a lot of youngsters with brilliant talents that are gone to waste. Yeah. And not any team in Zimbabwe have not lost brilliant talents that has gone to waste because they've just failed to be guided in the correct way. Yeah. And this is why I'm saying this man, to me, besides cricket, he is a man that I would really love to work with to try and develop our sporting in general, but in specific as a football person, I want to work with him in football so that at least the football community can understand the effect and the impact and the results, the good results of good behavior if they do the right things.
Yeah. Inspiring stuff, sir.
Yeah, really. Yeah, thank you, BT, for your openness and your vulnerability, and a great story. It's not finished yet. We're looking forward to seeing you back on the pitch. So safe travels on Friday. We know you'll be with the Chevrons as they prepare against the Black Caps. That will be quite a tough test. Lots of learning and experiences to be had. We wish you all the best for that.
Thanks.
In other beyond the pitch news, Bevan Sibanda, one of our Zimbabwean boxers in the strawweight, won a title in the IBF, the International Boxing Federation, fought in South Africa, based in South Africa, but he has a comeback home with his trophy, and he's going to be doing a bit of a show parade around, and he had a really good match. So well done to Bevan Sibanda. But that brings us to the end of Beyond the Pitch. Let's take a look at the rumours and rubbish. Rumours and rubbish. Now, this segment is a purely opinion-based or any rumours we've heard from verified sources, and maybe a bit of rubbish, things that should not be the way they are in sport. In the rubbish category, Kwekwe United, their game was held up against Yada at Bata Stadium because they owe Shesham a bit of money to use their facility, and it was outstanding. So, Steve, rubbish, but I also do sympathise with Kwekwe they're relishing in 18th, and they also don't have as much financial support as other teams in the PSL.
Yeah, but they were ill prepared for Premier Soccer League football. That's the long and short of it. They clearly didn't have the finances to run the team at the top level, and it's not the first incident that we've had from Kwekwe United this season, but this is really bad. Having to warm up outside in the parking lot will not do. So yeah, this firmly goes in the rubbish category. We hope that they can sort out their issues, but we need clubs coming into the PSL who've got the financial wherewithal to run a club. And we know you need $500,000 to $1 million for an average club for a campaign in the top flight.
In other rumours, the Montenegro-based coach Predrag Jaratic is being eyed by Manika Diamonds. Tafadzwa Mashiri, the head coach of Manika Diamonds, not doing as well as fans and spectators would have liked, so he might be getting replaced there. But also Highlanders are looking at Predrag. Trying Mube also hasn't produced stellar results, at least for the Bosso fans.
Yeah, but let's invest in local coaches. If we're going to bring in a foreign coach, let's bring in someone with a high profile. Not saying that he's not up to what's required for the PSL, but there are clearly doubts there. Right now we've got some coaches, Zimbabwean coaches in Botswana for the latest CAF course. We haven't held a CAF course here for many years, but let's invest in our coaches. Let's make those courses available and empower and equip our coaches here, because surely we've got guys who can do a better job here, I'd say, Sips.
Yeah, there also is that financial aspect to it as well. Can they afford Jaratic? Maybe.
Yeah,
Let's
and is
see.
he worth it anyway? That's another big question.
It is indeed. Well, Ishmauchi is not interested in Scotland. Scotland had offered him a position, and Ishmauchi is wanting to stay at Simbabora. Obviously he has his own reasons, but I think maybe, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Why would you leave Simbabora at the top of the table? You're winning your games, CAF coming up. I wouldn't see a reason to leave.
Yep, well done to him for resisting there. Might have had a better offer financially. Timon Machope was pretty much forced against his will to move from Simbabora to Scotland before the start of this season for Mauchi. Just weeks away now, the CAF Champions League, so good on him. Well done for him for standing his ground, because this is a big moment for him to advertise himself around the continent in the CAF Champions League next month.
Well, that brings us to the end of the Fanzone episode. Thank you very much, Leonard and BT, for sitting in the Fanzone with us. Thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. Leonard, good luck on Friday. Elections around the corner. Fingers crossed. BT, safe travels to Bulawayo on Friday as well. We're looking forward to seeing you on the cricket pitch again. So if you like this sort of content, remember to subscribe on YouTube, but also go to our website, fanzone.co.zw. There are sports articles for your daily consumption, and also sign yourself up for the Predictor. It's a really great time. Predict, have fun, brag, don't brag, try to climb up the leaderboard, don't do it, but have really good fun. We're also on social media, Facebook, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, X, and our WhatsApp channels. But that's us from the Fanzone, and we'll see you guys next week.